discharge my pockets here. Gonna take a big one of these. Because we're talking about Gummo. Fucking hate being in front of the camera. Alright.
Hey guys, I'm Zach.
And I'm Nick.
And today we're reviewing Harmony Korine's film Gummo.
Xenia, Ohio. Xenia, Ohio. A few years ago, a tornado hit this place. It killed people, left and right. Dogs died. Cats died.
Alright, so Gummo.
What a film.
What a film.
What a... Should we even call this a film?
Film? I think you can call it a film.
It's real life.
It's very cinema verite.
This isn't film, this is art.
Art.
I think we said the one thing that really stuck out in my mind when it was over was I'm not an artist. I am not anything close to
this
that.
This is really like the art of like art films.
Yeah. It's art house for art house.
Yeah.
So
there's really because there's no plot per se. We're just really peering into documentary style with just people's lives. And you're either for the ride or you're not.
It's just moments from a day or two.
Really, just people's day.
Yeah.
And then, wow, what a day people
Jesus.
have. So I guess the little plot it does take place in, what is it, Xenia?
Xenia. Sorry to everyone in Ohio watching this.
Xenia, Ohio, after a hurricane ravaged the town.
Which is like a really good setup, I think.
Yeah.
Because that's based on a real event that happened. And it really sets the stage for like how stricken these characters are when we meet them, and why there's and it makes a point to say a lot of the men in the town died, so a lot of the boys grew up fatherless, and we kind of really see that.
Yeah.
So I think that's cool.
And it almost kind of like, just knowing that and the way the film looks, it almost feels like, I don't want to say like post-apocalyptic, but it doesn't feel like it's reality almost.
Yeah, it's got that that like Netflix like filter over it.
Yeah,
but it's real.
But it's real.
So
yeah, and a lot of most of the actors in the movie are actually non-actors.
Yeah,
Harmony
I remember
Korine,
you saying this. I was briefed.
He went to Burger King, and he went to I think a steel mill or some other location, and he just picked people off the
cream of the crop,
and this is who they are. And the reason why he said that is because he just felt like this is the most genuine way to get someone...
The point across.
The point across is with real people.
We don't want to see Hollywood actors when we see this. We want to see our neighbors and our, the people that are actually around that location.
Yeah, and it works. I think there's really only a handful of like real actors. There's Chloe Sevigny, who was in Kids, Harmony Korine's first film. He didn't direct, but he wrote it. And there's a skateboarder in there too, who I'm forgetting his name.
Is he an actor?
No.
Oh, there's a skateboarder
in there.
Oh, okay.
I guess maybe he's not an actor, but he's more like a real.
There's like a little cameo.
Like a more known person. Yeah, he has a cameo.
That's fun. That's funny knowing that, because it had like that little bit of like punk vibe.
Yeah.
And so like he brought in some like counterculture characters into that.
Yeah,
so.
yeah. The whole movie is definitely, I feel like, counterculture to
I'd say
what
so.
Normal,
especially with what was like coming out then. That was like, what did it come out in, like 97? Like
97,
like Independence Day came out the year before. So it's like like they were going bigger and bigger and faker, and then here's this dude that just like drops his whole life, or drops like real life on the doorstep, and it just makes you deal with it the whole movie for 90 minutes.
Yeah, I mean, when it opens up, it's like old VHS footage of like the tornado and people like just kind of like looking at the camera, and really from then on you're either kind of with it or you're not.
Yeah.
And then
the
like
voiceover, the whisper from the boy.
And they really test you again, because the scene immediately after that is kind of, I guess, our main characters per se, Tumblr and Solomon.
Yeah.
They're drowning a cat in a barrel. So
this happens a lot in Xenia, Ohio.
So that's kind of like their main job, is they kill cats around the town because the town is overpopulated. and they sell the bodies to this guy who works at like kind of like a grocery store type thing, and he sells them to restaurants in the town for meat.
So
there's
that going on. That's
yeah.
right out of the gate. That's right. Is the bunny scene right before that on the highway?
Oh yeah, right. Yeah.
So
yeah, we meet
right after we meet Bunny Boy.
Bunny Boy, yeah.
Who's just up on the highway playing by himself.
Yeah. And he's on a bridge over by on top of the highway, and he's just
nice big overpass.
Yeah, he's just kind of chilling. He pisses on the road.
If you if you ever wonder where like all that broken glass and stuff comes from when you're up there, I guess it's Bunny Boy. So,
it's kind of that's kind of one of the things too, is like I feel like people have seen Bunny Boy, but they don't know quite where he's from.
Yeah. So I've definitely seen the image of him in the ears before.
Yeah.
That's the thing.
Yeah.
I feel like that's a famous image from the movie. But yeah, I think that whole opening is really powerful. Like for me, because it was my first time watching it when we watched it recently, and that felt like, you know, when you walk through like an overpass or you walk down a city street and you see like, you know, just like that, like broken glass and like a used condom or like bullshit all over the place, like trash, and you wonder where it all came from. You wonder who was here before you, and like it's just people.
Yeah,
it's literally just people. Like we're looking at those people. So I think that's a really powerful scene, because that's what the whole movie's about. Really, it's those like
people.
Yeah, it's just people. So yeah, so that was a really big opening for me, and then it goes right to drowning cats.
Yeah.
So
yeah, and it introduces kind of reoccurring characters, which I think is definitely one of the strong points of the movie.
Yeah,
is that even though it's all different little like vignettes of different stories, there is at least a few reoccurring characters.
Yeah. And I definitely think there's something you can get out of at least Bunny Boy's story. Bunny Boy and the women he ends up with in the end. I think that's a complete story within the movie. So.
And I think that just kind of helps tie it together and kind of keeps you there.
It keeps you in. I wasn't expecting so many recurring characters when we started it. I thought they were just going to be scene after scene after scene.
Yeah.
And so when people started coming back, it definitely like grounds you, because there's a lot of there's a lot of hard stuff to watch in it.
Yeah.
So.
It definitely helps.
Yeah.
Ground the movie.
Yeah, for sure. I don't think I could have taken more than one of that little girl playing and her voiceover about. That was a lot. Yeah. I don't think I could have taken that the whole movie, so.
Yeah, there's just so much in here that really just like tests you,
I
feel like. And I've just never really seen a movie like Gummo that just portrays life. It's something
we were talking about before we watched it too. The whole movie, when you're watching it, just feels like something you're not supposed to be seeing. Yeah. Like literally. And so I mean, stuff like that where you know you're faced with these real people out there, like we were talking about right before we started this video. I mean, this stuff happens.
Yeah.
And so it's like it's the stuff you don't want to see. But it's true.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, he kind of It is stuff that you really don't want to think about that goes on in other people's lives. You kind of keep in the back of your
stuff
head.
You hear about. And you go, oh, what a shame.
What a shame, yeah. But then when you see it, it's like it's real.
You're confronted, and it's not. It's a shame.
You know, like the sisters, they're looking for their cat that they don't know that Solomon and Tumblr killed
and so sold for meat.
There's a guy who comes up to them and says, "Oh, I know where your cat is," and he gets into their car and. He drives them kind of far away from where they were sitting, and he like tries to molest them.
Yeah, starts to feel them up, and I think that's a really big part too, because these women don't. These women, I mean, all of these characters are being portrayed as these downtrodden, you know, despot characters. You know, they all might be morally corrupt, they all might not be, kind of thing. So I think that's a really powerful moment when we find out that they care about their dignity and their self-respect, and they get out of that car and they're like, fuck you, and they start, you know, beating on him. And I think that for me was a really powerful moment, because I was almost afraid they were just going to go with it. Especially with the little girl in the car, and it was like, you know, especially with the whole movie leading up to that point, it was like, is this the big realization here? But I think it really it really turns it on its head when they say, no, get out of here. And then immediately after, they're with Bunny Boy in the pool, who I think the way I read it, at least, which we were talking about, is Bunny Boy could be seen as like the innocent character in the movie. He gets beat up by the boys drowning cats. He's wearing the pink bunny ears. That's the sign of vulnerability, femininity, stuff like that. And then in the end, they prove that they want to preserve their innocence and their self-respect, and they're immediately with Bunny Boy afterwards. It's kind of like an embracement of that full arc. I definitely think
he is kind of the I don't want to say, because he's kind of a down character too, but he's almost like
he's who we're rooting for.
He's who we're rooting for at least. It's someone to root for. Yeah,
and so I think when we get that moment,
he is kind of the light, I guess, of the movie.
Exactly. Yeah, so you get kind of the town plus the light when they're in that pool together, and it kind of all comes together, and it's like these aren't just characters; these are people.
These are real people.
These are people with feelings. They don't want that.
Yeah, and that's kind of the thing that, like, I think the movie, kind of going back to the earlier point about, like, it just kind of, like, showing real life, is you kind of watch it and you kind of wonder, like, how can anyone live like this?
Yeah,
you know?
Exactly, yeah.
But the characters show you, like, they live just fine.
They're fine.
They're literally,
this is their life.
They're perfectly fine with how they are.
Especially in the scene where they're it's that party and they're destroying the chair. It's like this is all they know.
This is Friday.
This is their life. Yeah, this is what they do.
They're perfectly content.
And of course, we're talking about them like there's some fucking other like being, but no, they're just people. I mean, this happens every day, all over the place, in a good chunk of the country.
Well, I think the thing is too, it's kind of. I think maybe one of the things maybe one of the goals of the movie, I don't know, I can't say for sure. I'm not Harmony Korine.
Wait, this is all speculation. We have no idea.
Yeah.
I mean,
the thing about Gummo is it can be anything you want it to be.
Literally. So I mean, I'm sure he meant some things, but at the end of the day, knowing what he was going for with the movie, all of it probably means nothing.
Yeah.
So that's the thing. We can only speculate.
It kind of I guess breaks. I guess for me, like, our like northern sensibility. I guess, you know what I mean.
Yeah. We're a colder people up here.
Yeah. I guess I feel like up here in the north we could be kind of arrogant about things,
other
places and things.
Definitely.
And to kind of watch this, it was kind of like
it's a culture shock.
It's a culture shock
for sure. Because again, it's the people you hear about.
Yeah.
That's the whole movie. It's just the stories you hear about. I had a friend who once did this, or in a Mark Twain novel where people are doing this stuff. It's like you're seeing it, and I think it's even more impactful that they not only is it showing real people, they are real people in the movie.
Yeah.
So it just all ties together.
Oliver found a leg on his roof. A lot of people's fathers died and were killed by the Great Tornado.
So circling back to with reoccurring characters, there's reoccurring narration, and it took me the second watch because the first time I watched it, I thought it was actually Bunny Boy narrating. So I kind of
which is a fair assumption. We start with him. So.
Yeah, and I just kind of assumed like you're just kind of looking at, he's telling you about the town as he's walking through it, but it's actually Solomon who's narrating the movie.
From the town.
He's from, and he's narrating it. Who's, if you look at the poster, Gummo, he's the guy on the poster.
On the poster, yeah. Yeah, he's the one he was the big draw.
He's the big draw. Poster. Yeah. So like Bunny Boy and Solomon are the two like main like
characters,
images from Gummo that you see.
Yeah.
Bunny Boy's got the ears, and Solomon's kind of funny
recognizable
looking.
Yeah. So unfortunately, but I mean,
he's very striking.
Very striking. He sits with you.
So he
makes you wonder what you're gonna see.
He kind of narrates it, and you can kind of like, you can tell, I guess, from the narration that there's something there. He kind of comes off as almost like a cold character, but there is kind of points you get where you kind of see like maybe he wants things to change in his life.
Yeah.
And especially if you dial that in with the narration, you can tell there's something there inside of him that wants to.
He's very wistful throughout that. It's almost a narration of a much older character coming out of his mouth. I mean, this is like a 10-year-old boy.
Yeah.
And what's the joke he says? I once knew a man who was dyslexic, but he was cross-eyed, so everything it came out fine.
Fine, yeah.
So it's like that's just that dry humor in such a young soul. It shows. It does not only shows like the growth that he could potentially have, but all the stuff he's lived through now. Like, a lot of these people are a little bit more, a little bit deeper because they lived through tragedy.
Lived through something,
They lived through the tornado, they lived through poverty, they lived through drugs in some cases, and it's just, it really tarnishes your soul a little bit, especially when you're young. So.
Yeah, and they've all just adapted to that, and they've learned how to live.
Yeah, which I think is another big point of the movie, is humans are adaptable.
Yeah.
So.
And there's a quote that he says, life is worth living because without it you'd be dead.
You'd be dead.
And I feel like that's the whole movie.
Yeah, that's literally the whole thing. It's like, if this is what we got.
This is what we got.
This is what we got. Let's do it.
Let's do it, yeah.
Senior Ohio. Senior Ohio.
It leaves off on kind of a somber note, but we definitely get that hope out of him, which I think is I think that's a really important part, because it doesn't leave you feeling like you came into this town and, oh, woe is me, all these characters. It's more like these characters are people. Again, they're people. Their hope's not crushed. They're a town. They have, and I think especially with the girls, they definitely haven't lost their hope, and they're still self-respect,
there's still
and
an
dignity
innocence,
and innocence
like about them. Yeah,
there's still Bunny Boy in the town, no matter what's going on. So
I think the vignettes with the girls was probably some of my favorite ones.
Yeah.
I mean, definitely the one with the chair. Yeah. Where they're wrestling the chair.
It's like it's literally like a Friday night somewhere. So. It's, oh my god! I feel like we've been in that kitchen seconds away from that happening. Yeah. We just got out of there. But and you feel like such a fly on the wall in that scene too. You really feel like you are there. Yeah. It's just not interacting with these characters. So.
Yeah, and definitely one of the biggest ones is like, it going back to where you're saying it feels like something we shouldn't see. There's a scene where Tumblr and Solomon, they go to this guy's house. Mm-hmm. And they pay him to have sex with his handicapped sister. Mm-hmm. And it's a lot, because you're like, okay, what's going on? And then you kind of learn about what they're doing, and then
you realize it's not going to
stop. Yeah, and you can either turn it off or you just can let it go.
Yeah, I'm sure that was a turning point for a lot of people to turn it off. I mean, there's definitely a few big ones, but that again, you hear about that kind of shit going on in small towns. You read about it in novels. People use it as literary tropes, but that really happens.
Yeah,
you just watched it happen.
Everything comes from somewhere.
Yeah, everything in this is like that. Again, that was a point we were making before we got on camera here. Is that for people who are passing this movie off as just like a grotesque scum fest, you're kind of dismissing a whole population of the country because you just don't want to admit that it happens.
Yeah, well, that's kind of like what it's saying. This northern, like, I guess, arrogance.
We don't want to hear it.
Yeah,
we don't want to hear it. We want to hear about the socks.
We don't just hear about the socks and how the Patriots are bad.
Want to hear about how it's not going to snow this year, even though we want seasons. That's why we live in the Northeast.
I mean, what were some of your favorite vignettes?
Definitely Solomon. I liked following through the movie, and like I said, throughout this whole thing, I just loved how Bunny Boy kind of had a complete arc. And like, I really hate to say that I liked it, but just the feeling you get when you watch that little girl play and that voiceover, it's one of the most impactful things I've ever seen. I hate to say I like it, but it is one of it's a neglectful child playing in the yard, talking about how she's being abused. And that's,
and the whole thing
like, even now, like, I feel it.
It's shot. Her scene playing is just like they recorded on VHS.
Yeah, so it's like on a handheld camera or something.
You just there's a lot of moments like that where it just feels like
the
you're
style
watching.
switches a little.
The style switches to like a home movie that you shouldn't be watching.
Yeah, exactly, and
like
that's
it's somebody's private video.
And no matter what Gummo is overall, I think it's at its best at those moments where we're peering into something we shouldn't be seeing and we don't want to accept is happening, and it really makes you feel. So, I liked that a lot. Again, probably similar feeling when we see the girl and she's just having fun and shaving off her eyebrows, and it's it's like you're just like on the wall in her bathroom. You're like a fly on the wall. It's such a unique moment.
And he puts it later in the movie too, where you're kind of like worried about what's gonna happen.
Yeah, you think someone's gonna kick down the door or
like
something.
What's gonna happen?
Yeah.
But she's just having fun.
That's her day.
And so you're like, okay.
At least someone is just having fun in this movie. Yeah, I think those moments were just really impactful for me, and it made the whole movie special.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. I think another really impactful scene is, so there's these rival cat killers.
Yeah.
And that Solomon.
There's only so many cats.
Solomon and Tumblr meet, and one of them talks about how he takes care of his grandmother, and that she's on a machine to stay alive.
Yeah.
And so they go to her house, and they
turn it off.
They turn the machine off.
They turn the machine off on her.
Yeah. Well, they shoot her foot with a BB gun.
With the BB gun to see if they can wake her up.
But she's.
I think he says like she's faking it or something.
She's faking
something
it.
like that,
So
or
they
she's
shoot her.
something like that.
Yeah. But she's basically just a vegetable.
Yeah.
And it's the machine that's just
keeping her alive.
Yeah.
And so
they say she's already dead.
She's already dead. Yeah.
So they just turn the machine off.
And I think that could even tie back into without life you'd be dead. And she doesn't have a life right now.
Yeah.
And
she's confined to the bed.
Yeah, and they're living these colorful lives around the town, and even that's better than lying in a bed.
Yeah.
Than decaying.
Yeah. Do you have any final thoughts?
What is Gummo?
Yeah, I feel like there's just so many directions to take a conversation. We could be here for like such a long time.
What is the word Gummo?
Oh, I don't know.
What is Gummo? I didn't get that out of the movie. Do I have to do some research?
When I saw it, I assumed that was one of the characters.
Yeah,
but it wasn't.
That's what I thought it was going to be the kid when we saw it, but he's Solomon.
Yeah.
I think the bathtub scene.
Oh yeah, the ending.
Yeah, the end bathtub scene.
So the ending, Solomon, he's taking a bath, and his mother brings him a plate of spaghetti, and he's
and the house is in disarray.
Yeah, his mother is a hoarder. And which I guess, fun fact, all of the houses are real and they didn't touch anything. So if you see like if you watch the movie, there's like all these
clutter.
There's just clutter. There's just shit everywhere. That's real stuff.
That's a real chair he broke.
That
wasn't a set chair. That dude beat up that chair
for real.
That wasn't a stunt chair.
They actually had to take stuff out to fit
the cameras
and the crew. Yeah. And so like the bathroom is full of clutter, and he's bathing in really dirty bath water.
He's bathing in this old grimy tub, and even the bathroom's cluttered. Like, you can't even really.
It looks like he's bathing in pond water, and so he's drinking milk and eating spaghetti and
in his bath.
And there's a knock at the door, and it's these two twin boys. They're selling candy bars. And so his mother goes and buys a candy bar and brings it back to him, and he eats it. But he drops it in the water.
So he picks it up out of the dirty pond water
and just eats it more.
It's better than nothing.
It's better than nothing.
It's what you got. I even think when we were watching that, I even thought that was kind of a sweet scene, because even this kid was kind of a street kid, and he was kind of out on the town all day. His mother like cared enough to buy him a chocolate
bar. Yeah.
So it's there's real love there.
Yeah. Well, that's kind of the interesting thing is like when he's out on the streets, he's kind of tough, but when he's with his mother,
he's not only like a little bit softer, but he's literally naked in the scene. He's literally at his most vulnerable in the whole movie.
He acts like a 10-year-old boy when he's around his mother.
He's still a 10-year-old kid, even though he's seen all these things and he's
done all these things.
Yeah, he's done all these things. He's still a kid.
Yeah.
And that's I mean, I've been in a house similar to that before, and it's spot on, unfortunately. So.
Yeah, I mean, Gummo is really just kind of what you want to make of it. It can be, you can view it as like an art piece or kind of our thoughts where there's like all these themes and different things you can pull from it, or you can just take it. You can
just take it as it is, or you can shut it off after the first scene. I mean, as long as you appreciate the fact that this is real. It's not. This isn't. Again, this was in the slew of blockbuster, history in the middle of the 90s, and someone decided to make something with home video cameras about real people having a day.
I mean, the closest thing you could get is like to something like this is just a documentary.
Yeah, basically.
I really can't think of any.
It's a documentary without structure. Almost.
Narrative feature that is like this.
Yeah, that's just it brings you in. I think Tampopo was similar.
Yeah,
but with structure.
It had a little more structure. More plot.
We had a temple in the middle at the restaurant. And so it's like. This was it was really neat to see. You never knew where it was going, and especially when it shows you such mature things right off the bat. You really are afraid for a lot of the scenes. Again, with those girls, you're afraid what's going to happen in that car, and you're almost like cheering when they get out of the car and they're beating the dude up. So that's the thing. It has such a profound effect in those little moments.
Yeah. Yeah, there's so much like dark when there is a little moment of light.
Yeah.
It really
shines through.
And shines through.
So shout out to Bunny Boy.
So that was our review of Gummo. It was really more of a discussion, really. This is kind of a tough one to do like a structured review of.
I'm sure if you liked what you heard, you'd go watch it.
Yeah.
And if it doesn't sound like it's for you, just don't watch it. Just appreciate that it exists.
Yeah. I mean, that's probably the best advice you could get about Gummo.
So,
if you think you'll like it, watch it. If not, don't.
So yeah, I'd say we at least recommend checking it out.
Checking it out. I mean, we very much enjoyed Gummo.
It was a time. It was a journey. So like, share, subscribe, comment down below. Tell us what you thought of Gummo if you've seen it. Tell us if you think we're full of shit. Well, we'd love to get.
We'd love to hear it all.
Yeah, definitely. Just throw it at us.
If you have any other weird recommendations, throw it.
Yeah, please.
Throw it our way.
Please.
We'll watch anything and everything.
We got time. We're back. Quarantine anniversary is coming around. So everyone get back on Animal Crossing.
Yeah.
All right, we're just riffing here, so
all right.
Bye. Have a great night.